The crowd's roar shook the arena like thunder trapped inside concrete walls. 10,000 voices screamed at once, fists pounding the air, phones raised, camera flashes exploding like lightning across the ring. In the center of it all, under blinding white lights, two men circled each other, chests heaving, blood streaking down their faces. Kang Jun's left eye was swollen shut. His knuckles were split open, red dripping onto the canvas with every step he took. Across from him, Kang Min's ribs screamed with pain he refused to show, his jaw clenched so tight it looked like it might crack. They were brothers, blood brothers, and right now, they looked like they wanted to kill each other. The referee shouted for them to keep fighting. The commentator's voice thundered through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Only one man walks away as Chairman Kang's successor. Only one brother inherits an empire tonight. Min lunged first. His fist cracked against Jun's jaw with a sound that made the front rows gasp. Jun staggered, but caught himself before his knees buckled. He spat blood onto the canvas and looked up, eyes burning. Is that all you've got? Jun growled. Min's chest rose and fell violently. You took everything from me once. I won't let you take this too. Jun's fist tightened. Pain flashed behind his eyes, not from the punch, but from the memory buried underneath it. You don't even know what really happened, he said through gritted teeth. In the front row, a young Nigerian woman sat frozen, tears streaming down her face, both hands pressed against her mouth. Halima Bello. Her eyes moved between the two men, tearing each other apart. Men who had once fought for her heart just as fiercely as they now fought for a fortune. Stop, she whispered, but her voice was swallowed by the roaring crowd. Jun swung. Min ducked. The exchange was brutal, fast, desperate. Blood sprayed onto the mat. The referee's whistle screamed. Somewhere above the noise, Chairman Kang watched from his private box, his expression unreadable, his eyes locked on the two men below like a man watching the final piece of a puzzle he had built over 10 long years. The final blow was coming. Everyone could feel it. Min pulled back his fist. Jun didn't move. The referee's hand rose into the air, ready to call the fight. Freeze. Before you find out what happens next, hit that subscribe button right now because this story is about to take you somewhere you will never forget. Drop a comment telling me who you think should win this fight, Jun or Min, and smash the like button if you love emotional stories about family, betrayal, and love that refuses to die. Now let's go back. 6 months earlier, before the blood, before the anger, before two brothers became enemies in front of the entire world. Halima Bello stepped off the plane in Seoul with a suitcase in one hand and a scholarship letter clutched in the other, like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She had grown up in Kano, Nigeria, the daughter of a market trader who sold fabric to survive, a woman who had taught her that no one owed her anything, and that she had to fight for every single thing she wanted in life. Halima had fought. She had studied under candlelight when electricity failed. She had graduated top of her class. And now, finally, she had earned a full scholarship to study international business in South Korea. She should have felt triumphant. Instead, she felt terrified. She stood outside the airport, staring at a city that spoke a language she barely understood, filled with signs she couldn't read and a crowd that moved too fast for her to follow. She checked her phone. No messages. No one waiting for her. She was completely alone in a foreign country, thousands of miles from home. Then she noticed her suitcase was gone. Her heart dropped into her stomach. She spun around, eyes scanning the crowd, but there was no trace of it. Everything she owned, her documents, her clothes, even the photograph of her mother she had tucked inside for comfort. Gone. No, 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 she muttered, panic rising in her chest. She didn't know anyone in this city. She didn't know where to go. She didn't even know how to ask for help. That's when a car pulled up beside her. The window rolled down, revealing a young man with tired eyes and a gentle face. Do you need a ride? He asked in careful English, his accent thick but his tone warm. Halima hesitated. Her mother's voice echoed in her head, warning her never to trust strangers. But something about the way he looked at her, patient, calm, without judgment, made her lower her guard just slightly. Someone stole my suitcase, she admitted, her voice cracking. I don't know what to do. The man's expression softened immediately. Get in. I'll help you file a report. And then I'll help you find somewhere safe to stay tonight. I can't pay you much, she said quickly. I barely have anything left. He shook his head. I'm not asking for money. I just don't like seeing people stranded. My name is June. She hesitated only a second longer before climbing into the car. That night, June drove her to the police station, waited patiently while she filed her report, then helped her find a small guest house run by an elderly woman who agreed to let her stay for a reduced rate until she got settled. He didn't ask for anything in return. He didn't even ask for her number. Before he left, he turned to her and said simply, Seoul could be a hard place when you're new, but it gets better. I promise.
Halima never forgot that night. She never forgot his face. And though she didn't know it yet, she had just met a man who would change the entire course of her life. Weeks passed. Halima settled into her new routine, university lectures in the morning, part-time tutoring in the evening to cover her expenses. She had taken a job teaching English to local professionals at a small language center near her campus. It was there, in a cramped classroom with peeling wallpaper, that she met Kang Min. Min walked in wearing a perfectly tailored suit, his posture straight, his expression sharp and intelligent. He was nothing like the quiet Uber driver who had rescued her weeks earlier. He carried himself with the confidence of someone who had never once doubted his own worth. You're the new teacher, he said, extending a hand. I heard you're from Nigeria. I am, Halima replied, shaking his hand firmly. And you are? Kang Min. I used to teach high school mathematics. Now I run business seminars. I need to improve my English for international clients. Over the following weeks, their lessons became something more than just language practice. Min was brilliant, quick-witted, and surprisingly funny once his guarded exterior cracked open. He would linger after class, asking about her life in Nigeria, her dreams, her ambitions. You're not like the other students, Halima told him one evening, packing up her materials. Is that a compliment? Min asked, a small smile tugging at his lips. It's an observation, she said, smiling back. Their conversations grew longer. Their laughter came easier. Slowly, without either of them realizing it, something warm was blooming between them. Neither Halima nor Min knew that the man who had rescued her from the airport that terrifying first night was Min's own older brother. One evening, Halima was invited to a small family gathering at Min's mother's house, a simple dinner to celebrate her improvement in Korean. She arrived nervous but excited, carrying a small gift for the elderly woman who had welcomed her warmly despite the language barrier. The dinner started peacefully enough. Min's mother served rice and grilled fish, laughing softly at Halima's attempts to use chopsticks properly. Then the door opened. June walked in. Halima's heart stopped. Min's expression instantly hardened. What are you doing here? June's eyes flickered toward Halima for just a second, confusion crossing his face, before he turned back to his brother. I came to see Mother. Is that a crime now? You have some nerve showing up, Min snapped, standing abruptly from the table. Min, please, their mother said softly, her hands trembling. But Min ignored her. You lost the right to call this family home a long time ago. June's jaw tightened, pain flashing behind his eyes. You don't know anything, Min. You never did. I know enough, Min shot back, his voice rising. I know what you did to this family. I know what you took from us. Halima sat frozen at the table, watching the two brothers she had unknowingly grown close to, tearing into each other with a decade of unspoken rage. Stop it, both of you, their mother pleaded, tears filling her eyes. June shook his head slowly, his voice quiet but heavy. One day, Min. One day you'll know the truth. And you'll wish you never said any of this. He turned and walked out without another word, leaving the room suffocating in tense silence. Halima's mind raced. She looked at Min, whose hands were shaking with barely contained anger. What happened between you two? She asked carefully. Min's expression darkened. It's complicated. He betrayed this family. That's all you need to know. Nothing is ever that simple, Min. She pressed gently. I've seen the way he looked at you. That wasn't the face of a man who feels nothing. You don't know him, Min snapped, then immediately softened, guilt flashing across his face. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to raise my voice at you." "Then talk to me," Halima said. "Tell me what he did." Min's jaw tightened. "When our father died, there was money left for this family. Money meant to keep my mother safe. Money meant to pay for my education. It vanished. June was the only one who had access to it. He disappeared for almost a year afterward, and when he came back, he refused to explain where any of it went." "Did you ever ask him directly?" Halima said. "I asked him 100 times, Min said, his voice cracking. "He never gave me an answer. Just silence." "Silence, Halima. As if I didn't deserve the truth." "Maybe silence doesn't always mean guilt," she said quietly. Min looked at her sharply. "Whose side are you on?" "I'm not choosing sides," Halima said, holding his gaze. "I'm just asking you not to close the door on your own brother before you know the whole story." Min said nothing. He simply stared out the window, jaw clenched, 10 years of unhealed anger sitting heavy in his chest. But Halima couldn't shake the memory of June's eyes, quiet, wounded, carrying something heavier than simple guilt. Something didn't add up, and she couldn't stop thinking about it. Weeks later, an announcement shook the entire country. Chairman Kang, one of the wealthiest and most mysterious businessmen in South Korea, revealed that his successor would be decided through an international boxing championship. Whoever won the tournament would inherit control of his massive corporate empire, a fortune worth billions. The announcement spread like wildfire. News stations replayed Chairman Kang's statement on every channel. "I built this empire with my bare hands," Chairman Kang declared during a press conference, his voice steady despite his age. "And I will not hand it to someone who has not proven their strength, their discipline, and their heart. My successor will be decided inside the boxing ring." Halima watched the broadcast from her small apartment, stunned. That night, she received a call from Min. "I'm entering the tournament," he said, his voice firm with determination. "Min, that's dangerous," she said, worry flooding her chest. "I need this, Halima. This is my chance to build something real, something no one can take from me." Before she could respond, another call came through. It was June. "I'm entering the championship," he said simply. Halima's stomach twisted. "June, does Min know you're entering?" There was a long pause. "He will soon enough." Both brothers, driven by desperation, pride, and unspoken pain, had entered the same brutal tournament. And neither of them yet realized the terrifying truth, that they would eventually have to fight each other for everything they had ever wanted. The training montages that followed were grueling. June trained in a rundown gym on the outskirts of the city, hitting a punching bag until his knuckles bled, pushing his body past exhaustion every single night after his Uber shifts ended. He had spent years secretly training as a boxer, using it as an outlet for guilt he had never been able to release. Min trained in a modern, high-tech facility, disciplined and calculated in every movement, treating his fists the same way he once treated mathematical equations, precise, controlled, relentless. Both brothers rose through the tournament ranks quickly. Their opponents underestimated them at first, but each victory silenced the doubters. June's raw power and desperation made him a terrifying underdog. Min's discipline and precision made him a calculated force no one could predict. The two brothers crossed paths once during a joint press event, standing on opposite ends of the same stage, forced together by tournament organizers for a promotional photo. Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashing wildly. "Kang Jun, Kang Min, your brothers fighting for the same prize." One reporter called out. "How does that feel?" Min answered first, his voice cold and controlled. "I've stopped thinking of him as my brother a long time ago." The room fell silent. June's expression didn't change, but his hands curled into fists at his sides. "Is that true, June?" Another reporter pressed. "Do you feel the same way?" June looked directly at his younger brother, his voice steady despite the ache behind it. "No. I never stopped. Not once." Min's eyes flickered with something unreadable before he turned and walked off the stage without another word, leaving June standing alone under the flashing cameras, the weight of a decade pressing down on his shoulders in front of the entire country. As their fame grew, so did Halima's feelings for both men, though she still didn't fully understand the war raging beneath the surface of their rivalry. She met June one evening after one of his matches, finding him sitting alone outside the arena, exhausted and bruised. "You fought well tonight," she said softly, sitting beside him. June managed a tired smile. "You watched?" "I did." She hesitated before adding, "You and Min. I don't understand what happened between you." June's smile faded. He stared at the ground for a long moment. 10 years ago, our father passed away. There was money left behind, money meant for the family. Min believes I stole it. He believes I abandoned him when he needed me most. "Is that true?" Halima asked carefully. June looked at her, pain etched deeply into his eyes. "No. But the truth doesn't matter if no one believes it." Halima's heart ached for him. "Why don't you just tell him the truth?" June shook his head slowly. "Some wounds don't heal with words. They heal with time. Or sometimes they don't heal at all." Meanwhile, Halima's relationship with Min continued to grow deeper as well. He surprised her one evening with dinner at a quiet restaurant overlooking the Han River, the city lights reflecting like scattered stars across the water. "I know I'm not always easy to be around," Min admitted, twisting his glass nervously. "But being with you, it's the only time I feel like myself. Not the fighter. Not the man carrying 10 years of anger. Just me." Halima's heart swelled with warmth, but guilt gnawed quietly beneath it, guilt she couldn't yet explain even to herself. As the tournament intensified, so did the growing tension between the brothers, both fighting toward the same inevitable collision, both falling deeper for the same woman who held pieces of their broken hearts without even realizing it. Then, one night, everything Halima thought she understood was shattered completely. She had gone to visit June's mother, hoping to understand more about the family's painful history. The elderly woman, weary and burdened by years of silence, finally broke. "My husband left money before he died," she confessed, her voice trembling. "Money meant to support this family and pay for Min's education. But it disappeared. Min believed June stole it." "But June didn't take it?" Halima asked gently. The woman shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "June sold everything he owned, our home, his own future, just to make sure Min could finish school. He never told anyone. He let Min believe the worst about him rather than reveal the sacrifice he made." Halima's breath caught in her throat. "Then why does Min believe he stole the money?" "Because someone forged documents," the woman whispered. "Someone made it look like June had taken everything for himself." "Who would do something like that?" Halima asked, stunned. The woman's eyes darkened. "Chairman Kang's former business partner. A man who had reasons of his own to destroy this family." "Does June know who did this to him?" Halima asked. "He's known for years," the woman whispered, tears sliding down her wrinkled cheeks. "But he never said a word. He told me once that if he exposed the truth, it would only make Min hate him more, because Min would feel guilty for everything he believed. My son chose to carry the blame alone rather than let his brother carry the guilt." Halima's chest tightened painfully. "That's not fair to him. He doesn't deserve to suffer for a lie." "No," the woman agreed, gripping Halima's hands tightly. "He doesn't. But my son has always been like that. Since he was a boy, he would rather bleed quietly than watch someone else bleed in his place." Halima's mind raced, pieces slowly connecting together. She needed answers, and she needed them fast, before the brothers destroyed each other completely inside that ring. Around the same time, Halima made another shocking discovery. While reviewing her scholarship paperwork for a routine renewal, she noticed an unfamiliar name attached to her funding source. Chairman Kang. Confused, she confronted the university's financial office, demanding answers. "Your scholarship was privately funded," the administrator explained. "Chairman Kang personally requested you be selected for this program." Halima felt her entire world tilt sideways. "Why would he do that? I don't even know him." The administrator shrugged apologetically. "I'm sorry. That's all the information we have." Halima left the office in stunned silence, her mind spinning with questions. Why would one of the wealthiest men in South Korea secretly fund her education? What connection could she possibly have to Chairman Kang? She didn't yet realize that every piece of her life in Korea, Jun's kindness, Min's affection, her scholarship, even the tournament itself, had all been carefully orchestrated by a man testing far more than just boxing skills. The championship finals arrived, and the entire country held its breath. Jun and Min had both fought their way to the top, defeating every opponent placed before them. Now, only one final match remained, brother against brother, blood against blood, with an empire and the heart of the woman they both loved hanging in the balance. Backstage, moments before the fight, Halima found Jun alone, rapping his knuckles with trembling hands. "You don't have to do this," she pleaded. "Tell him the truth before it's too late." Jun shook his head. "He needs to hear it from someone he trusts. Not from me." "Then let me tell him," she said firmly. Jun's eyes softened. "Halima, whatever happens tonight, I need you to know something first." "Jun, the night I found you at the airport," he continued, his voice breaking slightly. "That wasn't the first time our paths crossed." Halima's breath caught. "What do you mean?" "Chairman Kang asked me to watch over you before you even landed in Seoul," Jun admitted. "He knew who you were before you knew he existed." Halima's mind spun violently.
Why?
Why would he do that? Jun hesitated, his eyes filled with sorrow. "Because your mother and Chairman Kang, they were engaged once, decades ago, before fate tore them apart. He owed her a promise he never got to keep. Helping you was the closest thing he could do to finally honor that promise." Tears welled in Halima's eyes as the weight of the revelation crashed over her. Before she could respond, the arena doors opened, summoning both brothers toward their final battle. The fight began exactly as the story had opened, brutal, relentless, both brothers pouring 10 years of pain into every single strike. The crowd screamed. Cameras flashed. Chairman Kang watched silently from above, his expression unreadable, waiting for the truth to finally surface. Blood dripped onto the canvas. Min's fist connected hard against Jun's jaw, sending him stumbling backward. "Why won't you fight back properly?" Min shouted, breathless and furious. "Are you that guilty?" Jun spat blood onto the mat, steadying himself. "I'm not fighting you for the money, Min. I never wanted this fight." "Then why did you enter?" Min demanded. "Because I needed you to finally hear the truth," Jun shouted back. "Even if it meant breaking every bone in my body to get your attention." Min hesitated, confusion flickering across his bruised face. "What truth?" Before Jun could answer, Halima's voice cut through the arena. "Stop." She climbed onto the platform, ignoring the security guards trying to pull her back, ignoring the deafening roar of the crowd. "Halima, get back." Min shouted, alarmed. "No," she said firmly, standing between the two brothers, chest heaving. "You need to hear this. Both of you." The arena fell into stunned silence. 10 years ago, Halima began, her voice trembling but steady. "Jun didn't steal your family's money, Min. He sold everything he owned to pay for your education. Every single sacrifice you believed he stole from you, he actually gave to you." Min's face went pale. That's not possible." "It's true," Jun said quietly, tears mixing with the blood on his face. "I let you believe I betrayed you because I didn't want you to feel guilty for something you didn't ask for." "Then why did the documents?" Min's voice faltered. "They were forged," Halima interrupted. "By someone who wanted to destroy this family from the inside." Gasps rippled through the crowd as cameras zoomed toward the ring, broadcasting every word live across the entire country. From his private box above, Chairman Kang finally rose to his feet. "She's right," he announced, his voice echoing through the microphone handed to him by a stunned assistant. "I knew the truth from the very beginning." The crowd erupted into confused murmurs. "My former business partner forged those documents to tear this family apart," Chairman Kang continued. "He believed that if the Kang brothers destroyed each other, he could seize control of everything I built. I discovered his betrayal years ago, but I needed to see something first." "See what?" Min shouted, his voice breaking with emotion. Chairman Kang's eyes softened. "I needed to see whether either of you would choose revenge, or whether you would choose family, even after everything you believed." Security guards suddenly moved through the crowd, apprehending a well-dressed older man attempting to slip quietly toward the exit. Chairman Kang's former partner, exposed at last, struggled against their grip as gasps and shouts erupted around him. "Take him away," Chairman Kang ordered coldly. Inside the ring, Min turned slowly toward his older brother, his fists finally lowering. "You gave up everything for me," he whispered, voice cracking. "And I hated you for it." Jun's eyes filled with tears. "I would do it again, Min." Without hesitation. Min's legs nearly gave out beneath him as 10 years of anger finally shattered completely. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry, Hyung." The brothers collapsed into each other's arms, gripping tightly, releasing a decade of pain in front of an entire nation watching in stunned silence. Chairman Kang's voice rang through the arena once more. "Neither of you won tonight because of your fists." He paused, letting his words settle over the crowd. "You won because you chose to be brothers again." The arena exploded into thunderous applause, tears streaming down countless faces in the crowd. Effective immediately, Chairman Kang announced, "Control of my company will be shared equally between both of you. Not because you fought well, but because you finally chose love over resentment." Backstage, after the chaos settled, Jun prepared quietly to leave the arena, believing Halima's heart truly belonged to his younger brother. He was halfway through the parking garage when he heard her voice calling after him. "Jun, wait." He turned slowly, his heart pounding as she ran toward him, tears streaming down her face, breathless. "Halima, you don't have to do this," he said softly. "Min deserves happiness. You too." "Stop," she interrupted, smiling through her tears. "Just stop talking for 1 second." Jun fell silent, searching her eyes. "The first person who ever showed me kindness in this country," she whispered, stepping closer, "wasn't rich, wasn't perfect, wasn't trying to impress me." She reached for his hand, holding it tightly. "It was you, Jun. It was always you." Tears filled his eyes as he finally allowed himself to believe her words. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly as the weight of 10 years of guilt and loneliness finally began to lift. A few steps away, Min watched quietly from the shadows, a small, genuine smile forming on his face. For the first time in years, he felt no bitterness watching his brother find happiness. Only peace. He walked forward, placing a hand gently on Jun's shoulder. "Take care of her," Min said softly. "And take care of yourself too, Hyung." Jun nodded, pulling his younger brother into a tight embrace, the first genuine hug they had shared in over a decade. Above them, Chairman Kang watched quietly from a nearby balcony, a faint smile crossing his weathered face. The promise he made decades ago to a woman he never stopped loving had finally been honored, not through wealth, not through power, but through the healing of a broken family he had secretly guided back together. As the brothers embraced, and Halima wept tears of joy in Jun's arms, the arena lights slowly dimmed, leaving behind a story the entire nation would never forget, a story that proved family, forgiveness, and love could triumph over even the deepest betrayal. If this story moved you, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next cinematic story. Drop a comment below telling me which brother's journey touched you the most, Jun's silent sacrifice or Min's painful awakening. Hit that like button if you believe forgiveness is stronger than revenge, and share this video with someone who needs to hear a story about second chances today. See you in the next story.